All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about something you probably have in your kitchen right now: garlic. We're going to unpack the real science and explore its potential role in cancer care. What does the evidence actually tell us?
So that's the big question, right? Could this ancient food, something we've been using for thousands of years, actually play a role in the modern fight against cancer? We're going to be scientific detectives here, following the clues that research has uncovered. Now, let's get one thing straight right off the bat. The direct evidence, studies showing garlic cures or treats cancer in people, is incredibly limited. But the indirect evidence, well, that's a whole different story. It's strong, it's growing, and it's pretty compelling. So that's what we're focusing on today: how garlic seems to influence the very pathways cancer uses to get around.
Okay, to really get a grip on how garlic might help, we first have to understand the challenge. A cancer becomes most dangerous when it spreads. That process called metastasis. So, how in the world does that actually happen?
Well, it turns out cancer doesn't just spread randomly. It needs the right environment to thrive. And research points to three key things that help create that environment: chronic inflammation throughout the body, blood vessels that get kind of sticky, and an increased tendency for blood to clot. Think of these as the three main highways that cancer cells love to travel on. So, if those are the highways for cancer to spread, the big question is, can we put up some roadblocks? This is where the science on garlic, and especially aged black garlic, gets really, really interesting. It's time to open up its biological toolbox and see what's inside. First up in that toolbox, tackling inflammation. And we're not talking about a sprained ankle here. Systemic inflammation is like a low-grade fire, constantly smoldering throughout your body. Markers like IL-6 and C-reactive protein, or CRP, tell us that fire is burning. And unfortunately, that fire can act like fuel for cancer's progression. So what on earth is IL-6? Well, you can think of it as a messenger that yells, "Hey, immune system, get over here and fight," which is great when you have an infection. But when those messengers are yelling all the time, chronically, well, that's what keeps that inflammatory fire going. And check this out. This is the first tool in action. In one human study, taking an aged garlic supplement was linked to a 20% drop in IL-6 and an incredible 28% drop in C-reactive protein. I mean, those aren't small numbers. Those are significant reductions in two key inflammatory markers. Okay, on to the second highway, that vascular stickiness. The best way to picture this is to imagine the inside of your blood vessels being lined with tiny strips of Velcro. These are called adhesion molecules. When there's too much of this Velcro, a cancer cell that's floating by can just latch on, stop, and crawl out to start a new tumor. So what does garlic do? Well, it seems like it might make that Velcro less sticky. Human studies have shown that eating black garlic can seriously dial down the levels of these adhesion molecules. That could make it a whole lot harder for those stray cancer cells to find a place to grab onto. And our third highway? Blood clotting. There's a protein called PAI-1 that's a really big deal here. When its levels are too high, it's strongly linked to the spread of a lot of common cancers. Basically, cancer cells can wrap themselves up in tiny blood clots to travel safely through the bloodstream, almost like a disguise. And wouldn't you know it, we find another tool in the toolbox. A clinical trial showed that a daily garlic extract supplement was actually able to lower the levels of this exact protein, PAI-1. It's another way garlic might interfere with cancer's travel plans. But wait, there's more. It's not just about making the environment less friendly for cancer. There's also evidence that aged garlic can power up your body's own security team. Studies have found it can significantly boost the activity of your natural killer cells. These are your immune system's frontline soldiers, whose job is to hunt down and destroy rogue cells. Okay, so we've looked at the individual clues, right? We've got inflammation, the sticky Velcro, the blood clotting, and even immune support. Now, let's put all this evidence on trial and see what the summary of human studies looks like. This table really pulls it all together. And here's what I want you to see. Look at the pattern. It doesn't matter if the study is looking at inflammation, or blood vessel function, or clotting. Time and again, we see different forms of garlic having a positive effect on these exact biological markers, the very same ones involved in cancer's ability to progress and spread. That consistency is really telling. Okay, the science is fascinating, but what does this actually mean for you in your kitchen? How do you take this research and turn it into something practical? Let's talk tips.
First, there's a reason so many studies use aged black garlic. That aging process actually boosts a key active compound. Second, this one's easy. If you're using fresh garlic, chop it up and then just let it sit on the cutting board for about 10 minutes before you cook it. That little bit of rest time really helps preserve the good stuff. And finally, mix it up. Use both raw and cooked garlic to get the full spectrum of benefits.
So, after looking at all this indirect evidence, where do we land? What is the final verdict? What's the one thing you should walk away with? Let's be absolutely crystal clear. Garlic is not a cure for cancer. It is not a magic bullet. But the science strongly suggests that it can be a powerful dietary ally, something that can help make your body's internal environment less friendly to cancer growth, mainly by supporting your body's own amazing defense systems.
And this is so, so important to hear. None of this is medical advice. This is all for your education. The whole point of this is to give you the information you need to have smarter, more empowered conversations with your doctor, with your oncologist, about your total care plan.
So we'll end by leaving you with this question to think about. Based on everything we've just walked through, is adding this simple, ancient food to your plan a conversation worth having with your medical team? The research seems to suggest it just might be,